This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, I'm going to start by telling you I actually want to retitle the class. I know it's already in print, but this class is going to be, it's not going to be called Intellect versus Emotion, listening to the angel. This class is called Intellect versus Intuition, listening to the angel. Okay? It's really based on an idea I got way back when from Noah Weinberg. Some of this will be very familiar to you because it's like basic Aish ideology, and some of it I hope is going to be a little bit revolutionary and a little bit new to you. Pirkei Avos consists a lot of statements that begin with Rabbi Shimon Haya Omer, Rabbi Yehuda Haya Omer. This one used to say, that one used to say. What does it mean, Hu Haya Omer? I mean, you're talking about a rabbi. They probably said lots and lots of things. What does it mean when it says in Pirkei Avos, Hu Haya Omer? It means like that's what he was known for. That was like his life cliche, his life phrase. That was his understanding to life, was encapsulated by that line. So if you were to ask, what was the Hu Haya Omer of Rabbi Weinberg? What was the thing he used to say? So, as a Talmud of his, spending many years with him, I can think of lots. I could probably think of 20 things I would hear from him any given day of the week. He had certain catchphrases, certain ways of describing things, certain mottos, certain cliches that he used to hammer home all the time. One of them was an idea that he called clarity or death. If you want to live life effectively, if you want to know what you're doing and where you're going and get your goals accomplished, you have to be extremely clear on what you want and why you want it. You have to know what you're living for. It has to be clear what you're living for. Why do people get lost in life? Why do people make mistakes? Why do people get distracted? Not because they don't have ideas. Everyone's got ideas. They're just not clear. So clarity or death. You want to live a real life, you got to be clear. If you don't, you're dead. You're wandering. You're changing your mind all the time. You forgot what you're after. You forget why you're after. You don't know what you believe. You don't know why you believe it. So he pushed very strongly always the idea of clarity. How do you know Hashem exists? You have to have clarity. When the Rambam brings the mitzvah of believing in God, he doesn't call it belief. He says the mitzvah is to know that God exists. And Rosh Yeshiva pointed out that when it says knowledge, the Rambam meant very specifically. He didn't say feel that there's a God. He didn't say believe in God. He didn't say have faith in God. He didn't say let yourself or assume that there's a God. He said you have to know that there's a God. What does knowledge mean? It means it's an absolute. I know it, his again, one of his phrases, Hu Haya Omer, he used to call it 5-finger clarity. If I ask you how many fingers you have in your hand, you don't have to count them. And there's no way I can convince you that you've got 6 fingers on your hand. It's clear I know I've got 5 fingers on my hand. I play this trick with my kids. I'm sure you all did this when you were younger. With my daughter, I say, I can prove to you that you've got 11 fingers. 1 8, 2 8, 3 8, 4 8, 5 8, 6 8, 7 8, 9 8, 10 8, 11 8. Say, how about do it again? Do it again. 9 8, 10 8, 11 8. Do it really slowly. 1 8, 2 8, 3 8, 4 8, 5 8, 6 8, 7 8, 9 8, 10 8, 11 8. Now, my daughter's 8 years old. She'd say, I don't know how you did that, but I know I have 5 fingers on this hand. I know I don't have 11 fingers. I don't know how you did it, but no matter what trick you used, you cannot convince me that I got 11 fingers on my 2 hands. I know I've got 10. I know I've got 5 fingers on this one hand. That's called 5-finger clarity. You have to know it. It has to be clear to you that you can't possibly be swayed the other way. That was a big idea by Rav Noach. He developed a series, I'm just giving you many examples of this. He developed a series of classes called The 7 Traits of Being a Man, of being a leader. You want to be a leader, you want to make a difference in the world, there's 7 basic traits, characteristics you have to master. Right? Some of them are probably more obvious than others, but I have to trust in Hashem, and I have to know what my own power is, and I have to learn how to listen to people and work. But trait number 1 is independence. Independence means I'm going out there and I want to lead a cause or fight for a cause. I have to be 100% clear that I know I'm doing the right thing. And only when it's clear to me can I be independent and not be swayed by people who are going to call me nuts, by people who think I'm too extreme, by people who think I'm being too left or too right or too this or too that. If I've worked through the issue, if I've done my homework, if I've examined it, I've got the evidence, I've really thought about it, I've got clarity, I'm independent. Nothing's going to get in my way, I'm going to fight, nothing's going to sway me otherwise. Rav Noach himself, he started the Kiruv movement essentially, started all these organizations that people were calling him crazy and it's never going to work and this hasn't been done before and how are you going to do it, you don't know what you're doing anyway. But to him, it was just so clear. It was so clear and obvious that it's got to get done, and it's a big mitzvah, and it's the need of the generation. So no matter how many times he failed, no matter how many people called him crazy, nothing stopped him from pursuing his goal because he figured it out and it was clear to him. You have, on the other hand, the idea, the opposite of being clear, is living in doubt. The Psukim talk about Amalek coming to attack us in the desert. Chazal point out that the word Amalek, right, the guys who were out to kill us, Amalek is the same gematria, same numerical value as the word Safek. Because Amalek is not just an external physical military force. Amalek is a force inside of us. When you start to doubt, right? I'm davening and I'm saying, I'm putting all this energy into my davening. Like, am I even sure God exists? Like, I've got some doubts. I'm not sure I'm doing the right. I've been davening for a while and things didn't come out my way. Maybe there isn't a God, or maybe He's not on our side. Or anytime you have any kind of a doubt in any area, your belief in Hashem, your belief in Torah, your belief in your choices in life, when you're living with that doubt, it's an enemy within. And it's almost like I've got a foundation, but there's cracks in my foundation. So the minute the pressure starts, the minute you're under fire, the minute you're really getting a lot of flack from people, or you're really under a lot of difficulties, that crack just starts to widen and widen and widen. So I've got to take the time, step back, and again, be very clear what I want and why I want it. He used to make us do exercises. He'd go through a list of 20 questions with us. Moshe, how do you know the earth is round? I say, well, I know the earth is round. Well, yeah, that's a good question. How do I know the earth is round? Everyone tells me it's round. I've seen pictures, but yeah, maybe they're fake pictures. I don't really know the earth is round. Maybe I just think the earth is round because that's what everyone around tells me. Now let me think about that. Could the earth be flat? Like you live through life making assumptions about things that are true until you take the time to think. You don't really know. So you go through a whole list of how do you know the earth is round? How do you know Israel has a right to an independent state? How do we know that we have to fight against anti-Semitism? How do we know that it's bad, that intermarriage is a bad thing? How do we know that why do you think making money will make you happy in life? Any issue, any question that you have, he'd make you go through it. He'd basically categorize. You either have to tell me that you know this is true, or if you don't really know it, at least tell me that you believe that it's true. You've got some reason to believe it. If not, then maybe it's just a leap of faith. Maybe you believe something just because you want to believe it. You don't really have any evidence. You just want to believe it, so you take a leap of faith and you blindly accepted it. And if it's not that, maybe it's even worse than that. Maybe it's just social conditioning. You never thought about it. You never accepted it. You never made any kind of decision at all. You just kind of went with the flow. My parents raised me this way. I grew up in this part of the world. I'm a Democrat, so I vote Democrat. I grew up in this part of the world. They think like this. My family's KKK, so I think like a KKK guy. I never thought about it. I never looked at the other side. I never realized there was another side. I just kind of, by osmosis, live a whole set of values that I never chose for myself. So because of this, Rav Noach is very clear on your emunah. You have to know there's a God. You have to look at the proofs for God. You have to know why we believe in Torah. How do we know Torah comes from God? What's the evidence that Torah comes from God? And he spent a lot of time going through that whole idea of proofs and logic and evidence to try and demonstrate the case. Okay. So like I said, that's, I think, something we already all know. If you spend any time in Aish, you'll see that we have discovery seminars and essentials classes and beginners programs where the focus is at some early level, like you got to get clear on the issues, you got to hear the evidence, check out the other side, hear the other position, figure it out, make a decision. The part that's less appreciated, which is really what I'm going to spend time on, is Rav Noach's whole approach to what does it even mean to make a decision based on evidence. Because the way it sounds to us is pretty straightforward. I get up, I present a case, here's my 3 logical arguments, you think about it, you argue back, we discuss it, somebody's right, somebody's wrong. You're not sure, go on Google, bring some more arguments, then we'll argue it out, then we'll see who's right and who's wrong. And it sounds like the idea of having clarity is a purely intellectual, logical process. That's the way it comes across, right? Here's the evidence, you make a decision based on evidence. Rav Noach was very clear on the idea that that's not really true. And if you look at the times where he himself would go through the presentation of, here's the evidence, here's how we know we're right, here's why we believe, what he would usually do is he'd spend a lot of time, even before getting into it, doing what he called the prerequisites for the proofs. What's a prerequisite? It means before I'm able to even weigh out, what's he saying? What am I saying? What's the evidence on this side? What's the evidence? Before I even get into that, I got to check in myself and say, well, where am I even coming from? What do I want to believe? And Rav Noach would point out that there's many things that are non-intellectual that can really get in the way of us making clear, objective, intellectual decisions. Number one, social pressure. I want to make a decision about something in life. Oh, but if I decide that, my friends are going to call me crazy. Well, so I'm not so sure anymore. Not because the evidence isn't there, but because there's another thing that has nothing to do with truth, just called, I don't want to be a weirdo. I don't want my friends calling me names. I don't want to deal with that. This is a story Rav Noach told once. He said he had a guy that came to Aish, spent weeks with him, convinced him to believe in God. And at one point, many weeks later, Rosh Yeshiva was back in the States, visiting, touring around. So he called up this Talmud. The Talmud said, yeah, come, I want you to come meet my family. You know, you changed my life. He said, you got to come meet my family. Rav Noach comes into his house. It's a whole living room, all kinds of people, the family, the aunts, the uncles, the cousins. He's meeting them all. So this guy says to Rav Noach, he says, Rabbi Weinberg, my uncle over there, my uncle Louis, he's an atheist. Go ahead. Prove to him that he's wrong. Show him that God exists. Rav Noach says, you think I'm going to get Uncle Louis in front of all his family and his kids to change his mind? Who are you kidding? It doesn't work that way. Who in life is so objective, so much of a vakesh emes? I just want to know the truth. I don't care about the consequence. I don't care if people are going to come me. I don't care how uncomfortable it's going to be. People just don't think like that. So as much as I like to think of myself as an intellectual and as being objectively honest and as knowing the truth, there's all kinds of stuff that gets in the way. Social pressure. How society conditions me to even weigh out ideas. I got my own personal agendas. I like the way I'm living. I don't like the idea of you being right because that means I got to change. And those kinds of things are usually so subconscious, we're not even aware of them. So we think we're making an objective decision, or we think we're weighing things out and being fair, but we're not. Because there's emotional things that distort, that get in the way of how we make decisions. Rav Noach, I think, also then took it a step deeper. And this is really the main thing I want to try and focus on. That one of his classic classes is a class called the ABCs of Judaism. It's very basic material about everything you know about the basics of Judaism. My parents, many years ago, came to visit Eretz Yisrael. They met Rav Noach, and he sat with him for 45 minutes. He gave them the class, the ABCs of Judaism. So what's the A of Judaism? Again, a very famous Aish Torah idea, but I want to really delve into it. The A of Judaism is, you should know that before you were born, the Gemara says, before you were born, as you were being formed in your mother's womb, an angel came into your mother's womb and taught you all of Torah. The angel came and taught you everything you need to know about you, about God, about life, about your purpose, about your potential, about right and wrong, about what the world's all about. The angel taught you everything you need to know. And then the day you were born, the angel came and slapped you on the mouth. You forgot everything, and now your whole life is just trying to recapture all that missing information that you lost the day you were born. So when I first heard the story, I thought, what a silly story. What a waste of time. Like, the angel had you spend 9 months in the womb learning everything and you forget it all? What a waste. But what's really the point of that? How does it change my knowledge of something? How does it change my approach to things if I'm being told that really I did once upon a time know it all anyway? How does it change how you look at information? How does it change what we call education? What would you say? Yeah.
We're not learning, we're reminding ourselves.
Very good. We're not learning. We're not hearing it for the first time. We're not a blank slate. We're reminding ourselves. Which means, and this is the way Rabbi Weinberg described it, it means when you hear an idea, any kind of idea that's claimed to be a truth about morality, about society, about Judaism, about you hear an idea. So there's really two things going on. Your mind intellectually is making a decision. Do I agree or don't? Does it make sense or doesn't it? Where's the logic behind it? Can I argue against it? There's the intellectual level where you're dealing with the information. But there's something else going on entirely, which is that if it's true, it should sound familiar. Because if it's something that's true, it should resonate with me. Which means, aside from the whole intellectual level of how we deal with information, how we process ideas, what we accept, what we reject, there's a whole different level. When you hear an idea, you're doing two things. Your mind is saying, makes sense, doesn't make sense, I'm not sure, let me think about it, along with all your biases and everything else, your own agendas. But there's a deeper level where it's like your heart is either telling you, yeah, that sounds familiar. That feels right. It resonates with me, or it doesn't. Maybe this guy's wrong. Now, we spend so much time, especially in the Western world, in the mode of thinking, processing, analyzing, calculating. Where do you hear anywhere in the Western world this idea of taking time to go inside yourself and ask yourself, how do I feel about the idea? It sounds kind of weird. What professor gets up in class and says, okay, today we're going to talk about economics, today we're going to talk about philosophy, about morality, about history, about this. So how do you guys feel about it? What do you mean, how do I feel? If it's in the book, if it was said by an authority, if you made your case, I believe it. If I disagree, I'll put up my hand and argue intellectually about your point. But no teacher ever asks you, how does it sit with you? Does it resonate with you? And it actually sounds kind of weird. When I first heard the idea, I thought it sounds kind of hippie-ish maybe. It's like, I hear the idea, Rabbi, let me just see how I feel about it. Yeah, man, that feels good. That jives. I'm in. It just sounds weird. Like, how do you do that? What does it even mean to do that? So I found a couple of sources I want to look at with you that actually describe this idea quite beautifully. The passage around. I'm going to take those. I'm going to show you two things. First, I want to show you a piece from Alei Shur, Rosh Shlomo Volbi Zatzal, where he writes exactly about this process. So if the text isn't so clear, I'm going to start with this piece. You look on the right side of the page, towards the bottom. He's talking. It's an introduction to Chelik Beis of Alei Shur. He's talking about what does it mean to learn Torah. What is Talmud Torah? So I want to show you just a little quote towards the bottom of the right side of the page, where he says the following. He says, "Davar chadash be'inyan hamem ches davar, hinenu mutzim b'shir shirim rabba." He brings a midrash that talks about what's called the 48 ways. 48 ways that Pirkei Avos talks about acquiring Torah. So the midrash says that me'ein ganim be'er mayim chayim, right? Water flowing out of a well. Am Rav Yochanan, mem ches pa'amim katuv b'Torah be'er. The word be'er, well, is mentioned 48 times in Torah. Keneged mem ches dvarim shnidna Torah. Parallel to the 48 ways that Torah was given. Now he goes on to explain what does it mean. What it means is, we consider Torah to be water, right? Water is nimshal, water is analogous to Torah, right? Water dripping on the rock, we're familiar with the idea? Water is analogous to Torah. So what does it mean to get to Torah inside yourself? It means there's 48 wells. What's a well? You dig through the dirt, you dig through the cracks, you dig through the crud, you get past it, you get to flowing, clean, fresh water. So what's the mem ches dvarim? What's these 48 ways? They are 48 tools that Chazal enumerate in Pirkei Avos, which you use on yourself. Because I've got Torah inside of me. If I know how to use these tools, I know how to really listen to people. I learn how to really articulate what's on my mind. I learn to understand sources for things. I learn how to share ideas with people. I learn how to respect my rabbis. If I use these 48 tools and I dig those 48 wells inside of me, I get to a point of knowing the Torah that's already inside of me. That's exactly what he's going to explain now. Have a look at the next page. And then you start at the left side. He says, Achen, in the beginning of the new paragraph on the left side. Achen, hadvarim niflaim. Ukedei lavinam aleinu levatel ha'anacha shator nilmedes rak misfarim. So it's an amazing idea. He says, in order to understand it, we have to destroy this idea that Torah is something you only learn from books. This notion that somehow, this guy learned more books, so he's therefore wiser, that's not true. If you want to learn an idea, you want to handle an idea, okay, you have to do that from a book. To really think about something, a person does that from within themselves. Ala she'ela, on the question that's asked, Chazal say, Mehechan lamad Avram es Torah. Where did Avram Avinu, right? Avram Avinu knew all Torah. He kept 630 commandments. So Chazal asks, where did he learn Torah from? Shivu Chazal me'atzmo lamad Torah. It's a medrash. He learned Torah from himself. V'yesh lanu ladat. We have to understand this. Ki ad hayom Talmid Chacham Amiti Lo Made Torah Matzma. To this very day, what do we call Talmid Chacham? Not somebody who's amassed a library of books in his head, but somebody who's able to learn Torah from themselves. Elish Avram Avinu Olav Shalom Hayat Sarich Lilmod Kol Taryag HaMitzvos Me'atzmo He had to learn all 613 commandments from himself. Ki lo haya lo rav. He didn't have any rav. V'anaknu kvar motzim lefanenu Torah shebichsav v'Torah shebal peh. Avram Avinu was able to learn the entire written and the entire oral Torah from himself. Why? Because the angel taught it to him. It's all inside of you. You don't need a book. It's all in you. Even if you look in all the books, right? A person who reads a lot, you go through all of Shas, you go through all of Mishnah, you go through all of Shulchan Aruch, even if you learned a lot. If you don't really think about it, work with it, integrate it, you could be a walking library. You could be able to quote any sefer, any page, any rabbi from anywhere in Jewish history and know it all in your head, like a super disk in your head. Doesn't make you Talmid Chacham. Talmid Chacham is the person who's able to take the ideas and then think about them. Avram Avinu was able to do it on a level where he did it with even out the books. If the angel teaches you everything, all you got to do is use these 48 ways to go inside of yourself and learn Torah. Okay, I want to skip the next paragraph. He says some interesting things, but we don't have time for it right now. Next paragraph, he says this. He says, Hein, kol od shemidos ra'os mikananos belev hadam. As long as we have bad midos dwelling in us, taking up space in our hearts, ma'ayan chochmas satum. Your well of wisdom is blocked off. The kol mida tova shu kona potachas esemayan b'midas ma. Every one of these 48 midos, these 48 ways, will open up another well in some way. Now, I can't believe Rabbi writes this. It's shocking. I tell people, they say, you got to see it in writing. This is what he says. This is the key line. Ilu zachinu liknos lenavshenu. If we had the merit of being able to acquire for ourselves kol memches hamidos, all 40, if you could really, really perfectly apply these 48 tools, hayta be'er nishmasenu kol kach ptucha, the well that gets to our souls would be so open, shahayinu yekolim lilmod me'atzmenu kol haTorah kulo. V'zos haisa madregas Avram Avinu. You would be able to literally learn the entire Torah without ever opening a book. Because it's not out there. It's in here. Okay, it's under hundreds of meters of dirt, maybe ice and rock, but it's there. You got to use these 40 ways. As if we had the ability. Avram Avinu did it. That's what Avram Avinu is there to teach you. Avram Avinu is there to teach you. You can reach perfection as a human being without needing outside help. It's all inside of you. When Rav Noach says the A of the ABCs of Judaism is realize the angel taught you everything you need to know. So then learning is less about just gathering information and amassing information, and it's more about going inside yourself and seeing what the information is, because really it's all inside of you already. Any questions so far? Ravitz?
How come we aren't teaching the 48 ways in yeshiva? Why do we have huge libraries of Talmud and laws and all this complicated stuff instead of just teaching us how to tap into the 48 ways?
So I think the answer is that part of the presumption of the 48 ways is that I've really developed enough of an understanding of how to be honest with myself. Then I know when I'm fooling myself. I know when I'm not. I mean, I could sit there and meditate and go inside myself and say, I really, really think I gotta travel the world now and experience life. Because now, is that my Yetzer Tov? Is that my Yetzer Hara? I don't know. So the truth is, it's ironic. Hashem gives us an neshama which has all the answers. The angel taught you everything, and yet, a few generations later, he comes to the Jewish people at Har Sinai and says, forget all that. Here's a book. 5 books, Rashi, Mishnayos, Midrash. I'm giving everything in writing, black and white. You still got to do the work of integrating it. You're not off the hook. Don't just blindly follow it and not think about it and not integrate it. But what Hashem is saying is, I don't trust you to think that you'll figure it out on your own without outside barometers of how do you know if I'm on track or not. So Torah itself just makes it more real and more objective that I know when I've really found the answers.
It's like guardrails, right? So you don't go off course.
Yeah, so there's going to be some of both. Meaning, practically speaking, I could either start with myself and say, wow, I've discovered things about reality. Let me see if Torah agrees with me, because if not, then it's just my Yetzer Hara. Or start with Torah and see, and then see how to apply, how it does ring in myself and how I do integrate it into it. Either way, there's a dynamic where both have to be happening. I'll tell you a beautiful story, okay? Rav Noach Zatzal had a brother, Rav Yaakov Weinberg, Rosh Yeshiva of Ner Yisrael in Baltimore. passed away years before Rav Noach did. Rav Yaakov Weinberg had a son, Simcha. Simcha came into the yeshiva many years ago, told me the following story. Beautiful story. Rav Simcha says, when he was right around the age of bar mitzvah, right before bar mitzvah, his father was Rosh Yeshiva of Ner Israel in Toronto at the time. So Simcha says, I was around 12 and a half years old. I come home from Cheder one day. I come in the house. And my father says to me, he says, Simcha, I want you to sit in my chair. I'm going to play some music for you. So Simcha says, that's bizarre. Nobody sits in Tati's chair. Tati had this big white leather chair. We were even scared to touch the chair. Tati's chair was, Tati wants me to sit in his chair? You can play music for me? Okay. Sits in the chair. Rabbi Yaakov says, I'm going to put on a composition. It's called The Four Seasons by Antonio Vivaldi. It's about an hour long. I want you to listen to it. Never heard any such a thing. I was like, okay, fine. Sits in the chair. Puts on this record. Listens to Vivaldi. Rabbi Yaakov goes to the other room. He's learning in the other room. Comes back after an hour. He says, how do you like it? Simcha says, no, it was okay. Never really listened to classical music before. It was kind of all right, I guess. He says, did you notice that there was 4 different compositions? He says, not really. So Rabbi Yaakov says, well, yeah, it's called the 4 seasons because there's actually 4 different compositions. One's for spring, one's for winter, one's for fall, one's for summer. Listen to it again and see if you can figure out which one is which. Okay, puts it on again, listens to the whole thing again for another hour. Rabbi Yaakov's in the other room, listens to the whole thing again. Comes to his father, says, I listened to the second, I have no idea, I don't know which one is which. He says, listen to it again. He listens to it again. Listen to it again. This took place over many days. He listened to it like 8 or 10 times. The whole thing, every time, over an hour long. Finally, after about 10 times, he's very excited. He comes to Rabbi Yaakov and says, Tati, I figured it out. The first one is spring. Huh?
I want to do.
Okay, so I don't know. I don't even remember which one is which. That's the truth. But whatever it is. First one is spring. Second one is fall. So winter, summer, whatever. Rabbi Yaakov says, okay, let's check the album cover and see if you're right. Go take the album cover off the top shelf. You're right, Simcha. How do you know? That's great. How did you know? How do you know the first one is spring? Again, I don't know if it is, but how do you know the first one is spring? So Simcha says, I don't know. Just kind of, there's something about it. I just kind of get the sense that it was spring. Rabbi Yaakov says, no, you got to bring me a raya. Bring me a proof. Show me why you think the first one is. He listened to it again over the next 2 weeks, on and on and on and on. He finally comes back after 3 weeks, comes to his father. He says, I figured it out. First one is spring, because this sort of sounds like, the birds after the winter, and the birds come out, and that's that sound of the flute at the beginning. And the winter one, the long sounds kind of sounds like the wind and the snow. And so his father says, brilliant. You figured it out. You know how to understand music now. Simcha says, that's very nice, Tati, but why did you make me do that? So he says, Simcha, that's how you learn Torah. Because when you open up the Chumash and you look at a pasuk, or you open up a Rambam and you look at a halacha, don't just read it and say, okay, got it, file it away. That's what the halacha is. You got to really look at it. Why did the Rambam say it that way? What did the Rambam mean? How does it register in me that the Rambam said those words? Why does the pasuk say, again, not just intellectually, why is there a hey? How come there's an extra vav? What does Rashi say? What does the Ramban say? Forget about the intellectual for a minute. How does the pasuk speak to me? What do I feel when I hear those words? Like if I could understand the words, but what do I hear when I'm hearing those words? It's a whole different level of learning that we're not familiar with. And that's what he calls the ABCs. The A of Judaism is you got it inside of you. When you're learning Torah, you're just trying to match this reality with the reality that it's already inside of you. But really, it's already all in there. Now, that being said, I want to give you an even more powerful example of this idea. I only discovered this after the Rosh Yeshiva Zatzal was nifter, so I never really had a chance to share it with him. I'm sure he's familiar with it. This is a piece I came across almost by accident. It's Hashgacha. It's an essay called Derech Eitz Chaim, written by the Ramchal, Rav Moshe Chaim Lazaro, right? He wrote Path of the Just, Derech Hashem. So at the end of the older editions of Mesilas Yesharim, Path of the Just, he brings this essay. It's a short essay. It's maybe 15, 20 pages long. And in the essay he says, this essay is like his introduction to all of his books of Kabbalah. The Ramchal wrote like 30 books of Kabbalah. This is sort of like his intro. You want to learn Kabbalah? This is the essay you got to read first to understand even what it means to learn Kabbalah. Anyway, so I'll give you the setup before we look at what we're going to see in a second. Here's the question the Ramchal asks here in Derech Eitz Chaim. He says, we know that Hashem gave us free will. What's free will? Goof versus neshama. Your body, your soul. Your soul wants to do this, your body wants to do that. You got a clash, you got a conflict, you got to make a choice. That's free will. Right? We know that. That's the definition. The Ramchal's question is this. How's it a fair battle to have a body against the soul? I mean, your body's just a bunch of chemicals. Your soul is a piece of Hashem. Your soul is this intense energy that's a piece of Hashem himself. Your body's just a clump of dirt. It's a bunch of DNA. How could that be called a fair fight? Where's the battle? How could we even have the possibility of choosing the goof over the neshama? His answer is this. His answer is because we don't really... He says it's true. The neshama is by nature, much stronger than the goof. But what? There's many layers, many klippas, many blocks, many obstacles between us and the neshama. So I have easy access to the goof. I eat something, it tastes good. I do something, it feels good. Easy access. I do a mitzvah. I put on tefillin this morning. It didn't taste as good as breakfast. It wasn't as visceral. It wasn't as immediate. I did a mitzvah. I felt kind of good that I did the mitzvah. I got up early. I davened a nice shachas. That was nice. It wasn't like eating a steak dinner. Because the connection that we have to our neshama is a much more distant connection. I got the neshama over here. I got the goof over here. But Hashem put a wall right between me and my neshama. So it's not as easily accessible to feel what the neshama is feeling as immediate as it is to be able to feel what the goof is feeling. So that's our relationship. Now, based on that setup, here's what he says. If you look on the left side of the page, he says, "V'lihiyos." See where I am? V'lihiyos HaKadosh Baruch Hu. V'lihiyos HaKadosh Baruch Hu ratzah she'adam yeh bal yetzer. Because Hashem wanted that we should have this yetzer, this inclination, sheyuchal liot menutzach or notzeach b'shikol echad, we can win or be beaten equally on both sides. Lachein sam behem hayidiyah ach sagur kegachela. So we have this inner truth within us, but it's like covered over, like a coal. V'shetuchal litpashet kishalhevet. It could come out like a flame. V'bechira b'yad adam, and we have to make the choice. V'chachmeinu zikaron levracha amru. They quote a Gemara. Al kein yomru hamoshlim bo cheshbon. Right? The ruler said, let's make an accounting. What's the moshlim? Elu hamoshlim b'yitzram. Those who rule over their yetzer, their yitzhara. What does it mean, bo cheshbon? Bo v'nachshov cheshbono shalolam. We have to make an accounting for the world. What's good, what's bad, what should I do, what shouldn't I do? V'ki mi sho'eno moshel b'yitzro lo yasim atzmo lezel olam. If you don't take the time to do the accounting, you're not going to get anywhere in life. So. Once you've learned that you have to make an accounting, make an account for yourself, do a cheshbon nefesh, you'll know it, you'll see it, you'll pass it on to others. Here's the key line. He says, Halo ha'adam. I'm about halfway through the page on Kuf Pei Zayin, on the left side. Halo ha'adam. Rov shnos yamav omed lachshov cheshbonos hasakav. A human being, most of the years and days of our life, we're making all kinds of, we're preoccupied with day-to-day matters. Iskei chayisha, where am I going to park? What am I going to eat for dinner? When do I have to go pick up the kids? When am I going to do the shopping? V'lama lo yasim el levavo afilu sha'achas gam lazos lachshov machshavas mimenu. So why don't we spend at least a little bit of time, at least an hour, to think about the following things. Now he's going to itemize, the Ramchal's going to itemize 4 questions that a person should every day take time to reflect on. Question number 1, Mahu. What am I? Am I a body? Am I a soul? Am I both? Am I a spark of God? Am I a chooser? Am I a giver? Am I a what am I? Mahu. Number 2, Lama Ba'la Olam. Why am I here? What's my purpose in being here? Why am I alive? Question number 3. I think it's actually question 2b. I call this 2a and 2b because there's an O there. He says, or another way of saying it, Ma mevakesh mimenu melech malchim lokim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. What is it that Hashem, the King of Kings, wants from me? What does He want from me? He put me here. He has an expectation. What does He want from me? What am I here to do? Question number 3. Uma yes sof kol inyanav. What's going to be at the end with me? This is a scary question. What's going to be with me at the end? If I continue on the path of life I'm on right now, what's my life going to look like in 20 years? I'm going to look back at the end of my life, 30, 40, 50 years. If I keep doing what I'm doing, same kind of choices, same kind of patterns, same kind of habits, I just continue the arc of where I'm going now, what's going to be with me in the end? What's going to be with me in the end in Olam Haba? Where am I going to end up? He says, Zos hi atrufa hayoter gdola v'chazaka shetuchal lahamsi neged hayetzer. He says, this is the greatest and strongest possible medicine that we could have against our Yetzer Hara. This is it. This is the strongest possible medicine. V'hi Kallah, it's easy. U'pulat hagdola has tremendous effect. U'pirya rav has tremendous outcomes. Sheya'amod ha'adam bechol yom. A person should stand every day. Lefachot sha'a achat panui mishar kol ha'machshavos. A person should stand every day, at least for a full hour, with your mind completely devoid of all the other stuff we think about. Lachshov rak ala ini nazeh shamarti. To think only about these questions that I just told you.
Before Breslov.
Even before Breslov, exactly. And just look at what he says now. V'yavakesh bilvavo. What does that mean? Ask your heart. Don't ask your head. Don't ask your Rav. Don't consult a sefer. Don't go to a seminar. Yavakesh bilvavo. Ask your heart. What's the question you're supposed to ask your heart? This is my favorite question. This is question number 4. Me asu harishonim avos ha'olam shekach chashak Hashem bahem. What did the avos do that they were so great that Hashem deeply loved them and connected to them? Right? Why did Hashem appear to Avram? Why did Hashem appear to Yitzchak? Why did Hashem appear to Moshe Rabbeinu? What about David HaMelech? How come I'm not on that list? That's the question we're supposed to ask ourselves. What's holding me back? Me'asa Moshe Rabbeinu olav shalom. What did he do? I mean, he's a human being, right? Me'asa David Mashiach Hashem. What about David HaMelech, the one chosen by Hashem? Kol HaGadoli Masher Hayu Lefanei. All the other great rabbis. How come I'm not Rav Moshe Feinstein? How come I'm not the Vilna Gaon? How come I'm not Hillel? How come I'm not Shammai? How come I'm not David HaMelech? This is the question that's supposed to bother us. And more than that, you know what he's saying? You know the answer to the question. It's inside of you. You don't have to speak to a psychologist. The answer is inside of you. You know where it's in? It's in your heart. He's saying this very strange idea. He's saying if you literally just empty your mind and just go inside yourself and ask your heart, you're asking that part of you that the neshama gave all the answers to. There's a whole library in there of everything you ever need to know. It's not in the books. It's in here. All you have to do is learn how to ask yourself, Moshe, what's up? Like, how come you're still, futzing around? How come you're not up there yet? How come you haven't conquered the world yet? How come you haven't become the next Moshe Rabbeinu? How come you didn't bring Mashiach? How come you're not on top of the world? How come you're not the tzaddik gomer of the generation? You should be bothered by it, and especially bothered by it because there's no reason not to be. The answer is right inside of you. You know what's holding you back. You'll only know it though if you, not your head, doesn't ask your head, ask your heart that question. He goes on, he says, and whatever the answer is, like whatever it is that they did to get to that level, of course I should invest my life in doing exactly the same thing. Okay, I just want to go on a little bit to the next page. Turn to the next page. He summarizes it. Next page on the right side, I'm just going to read one more paragraph. It's worth reading the whole essay for sure, but I just want to focus on a couple of ideas. So the next page, on the right side, the first new paragraph, he says, Klal hadvarim. Bottom line, what's the summary of what we're saying? He says, Ha'adam she'eno choshev al zeh. A person who doesn't think about this, kashelo ma'od ma'od lagia el hashlemus. It's going to be very, very hard to reach any kind of perfection in life. V'adam ha'choshev al zeh. But a person who does think about this, does take the time, karov eleh ma'od. Perfection is very close. There's no missing information. There's nothing stopping you from reaching your potential, from being a perfect person, from being a tzaddik. All that's missing is you didn't ask yourself the question. The real chachamim were always thinking about this. Lo yafnu dai tamizos. They're never thinking about anything but this. And that's why the gedolim are so successful in everything they do, because this is what they're focused on. Okay, so listen, you can't do an hour every day. Do whatever you can. You do a little, you have some results. You do a little more, you get some more results. You'll be successful in your ways. You'll be enlightened. You'll have all the answers. It's all there. Now, I'll tell you something interesting. When I came across this piece, a couple of years ago, I had a musar vad with a group of guys in the base medrash in the yeshiva. I came across this piece I said to them, like, guys, this is amazing. Like, this should be free. This should be on the boards of it. This is it that I'm saying. This is the secret to life. It's all inside you. You don't have to go anywhere else. I said, we should do this. Like, forget about meeting 45 minutes a day and schmoozing about whatever we're doing. Let's just do the exercise. Every day for the next week, our 45-minute session is going to be, everyone goes into a corner by themselves, find an empty space, go to the roof, go wherever, and just clear your mind and just think. Who am I? Why am I here? What does Hashem really want from me? What's holding me back from greatness? Those are the questions that are right. Just think about it. Okay, guys, go. Everyone goes off into a corner. I come in about 15 minutes to check on them. This guy's on his phone. This guy's schmoozing with a friend. This guy's writing a shopping list when he gets home. He's got to do some things for his wife. This guy's like, guys, come on. Like, this is the secrets of life. It's all right here. Like, there's no excuse. You've got the time. Do it. Okay, well, I'll try better tomorrow. Next day, same thing. This guy fell asleep. This guy's got distracted with a friend. He had to have a cup of coffee, and he got caught up with the coffee because he couldn't find milk, and he had to go borrow milk from the dorm. And like, guys, what's your problem? Their uncle is telling you this is the answer to everything you need to reach perfection in life. You have the time. You've got the instructions. It's very simple. Just do it. Oh, one guy said, well, I didn't really understand the questions. I figured I'd read the whole rest of the essay first and then come back. It's like, I read the rest. It has nothing to do with it. That's all you need to know. That one paragraph. It tells you everything. No, but maybe if I read on later, I'll get more information. It's like, man, you're just avoiding the issue. Because this exercise, I think, as much as he calls it Kallah me'od, it's easy. What's easy about it is it's not complicated. It's very simple. But it's intensely difficult. First of all, it's intensely difficult for us to sit for 10 minutes without our minds going in 10 different directions or checking our phone. That's already challenge number one. But even if you can get past your phone and past the buzzing in your pocket and past the emails you got to send this afternoon and actually concentrate on something solid for 10 minutes, even if you can do that, man, you're going to start asking, what's holding me back from perfection? That's the heaviest question imaginable. What if there's an answer? What if I got to do something about it? What if I really am a lazy bum and there's no excuses left anymore? I got to get my act together. I don't want to discover that. So if you do, and I pushed the guys, it took 2 weeks of pushing until every guy was able to spend 15 minutes, as far as like we could get, not an hour a day, but 15 minutes 5 days a week. I'm just thinking about it. Now you think it might be a boring thing to do, because once you get it, right? But the Ramchal, this is the Ramchal we're talking about, right? Super Kabbalist. The Ramchal is saying you need to do this 1 full hour every day for the rest of your life. I don't. It's way too intense for me. But I try and do it 3 times a week for half an hour. And every time I do it, and every time I revisit it, it's a little different. And I see it from a different angle, and there's nuances to it. And something I thought was really the truth, well, there's even a truth behind that. And there's an even deeper truth behind that. The more you go into it, the more you drill down, the more you get to the water. And once you get to the water, you've discovered who you really are. You've discovered what your purpose in life is. And you've discovered the Torah that the angel taught you. So Rav Noach says that the A of Judaism is the angel taught you Torah. The Ramchal is saying the exact same thing. Rav Wolbe is saying the same thing. It's all inside of you. So of course, go to yeshiva and learn Torah and the intellectual process and figure yourself out and have a Rav and have a chaver. That's all true. But that shouldn't be in place of doing the work of going inside yourself and seeing what the Torah really teaches you, what the angel really taught you. I want to take 2 minutes for questions. I want to end with a bit of an exercise. Any questions in the meantime? Yeah, please.
Excellent material. The whole thing is fantastic. Is there? You jumped right into this. Is there like a preamble?
Nope.
So these are the Makaros. These are.
That's it. That's really it.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I mean, the stuff before, and it's not a long essay, but the stuff before and after is not pertaining to this material. You don't need anything before or after.
And you made the connection between these 2 pieces. Like you found them both.
Yeah, this one was I literally stumbled across it.
Beautiful. They go together. Thank
Yeah, they go together very nicely. Yeah.
What happens when your intuition and your intellect seem to be sort of fighting with each other? What do you choose?
It's a good question. I think the answer is you're going more deeply into your intuition will tell you if your intellect is being biased or not. Meaning, the deeper you dig, the more you realize, well, am I saying that because I want it to be true, or is it really the truth? Am I thinking that because it really is how I figure things out, or because that's what I'd like to figure things out? That what he's saying really essentially is the guarantee for sanity is never going to be in something intellectual. Right? You could be the most brilliant person in the world. You can convince yourself of any nonsense you want if you really try hard enough. There's lots of people who believe in lots of crazy things in the world, and they're smart people. Because what are they missing? They're not in touch with themselves. They're just not in touch with themselves. So at the end of the day, the only way I know for sure, it's not just that I've convinced myself, I've come up with a logical system, I've come up with a 5-point, here's why, and here's how, and here's how I know. The only way to know you're not fooling yourself is going inside yourself. Because there's always that voice in there that says, come on, man, you know that's not true. You know you're just believing that because it's convenient. You know you're not being honest with yourself. The only voice that will ever tell you that is something inside of you. It could be a Rebbe also, but the only way you know for yourself is something inside of you.
When Kallah says Mesilas Yesharim, it seems to me it's like the Gan Nevucha that he speaks about.
Right.
Maze, which just seems to be very similar to this. He talks about the Rabbanim that are on top of the Gan, and therefore you need to go to a Rebbe to be a Moradera, because they can point you and say, that's a 3-year dead end, that's a 10-year dead end, that's a 2-week dead end, that's the right way.
So that Ganim Avoko, though, he says, who is at the center that's reading? It's the Chazal, right? And he says there, and what did Chazal tell us is the thing you need to do? Cheshbon and Nefesh. Yeah. He quotes the exact same Gemara. Right. It is Cheshbon and Nefesh, it's the same thing.
Right, but I always take away from that, correct. But a person needs a Rebbe, because without that, you could actually just fool yourself all along the way.
That's also true, 100% true. Yeah, a Rebbe who knows you and is able to keep you in mind, 100% true. So we have like this. We have 8 minutes left. I want to suggest something very daunting to you. Walk the door quick. Seriously, because you're going to leave here and get distracted and get busy and this and that, and it might take years before you ever actually seriously make the time. So I want to very seriously suggest you take the next 7.5 minutes, leave the room, go to the roof, go to a corner, go downstairs. There's lots of free space around the building, and take 5 minutes and actually think and ask your heart, ask that little angel inside of you, what do I know is my inner truth? Try it for 5 minutes, and if you got anything out of it at all, you can try and make a regular habit out of it also.
Ask these 4 questions?
These questions, yeah. Or pick any one. Pick any one of them. Question number 1, who am I? Number 2, why was I put here? 2B, what does Hashem want from me? Question 3, I would phrase it as, what's going to be with me in the end? Now, I don't know if he means by the time I die, if he means Olam Haba, I'm not sure what she's referring to, but, sort of like long term, if I keep going on the path I'm going, where am I going to end up by the end, however you want to take that? And question number 4, how come Hashem is not treating you like Moshe Rabbeinu? How come Hashem doesn't have the same relationship with you like Moshe Rabbeinu? How come you're not the next Gadol, Tzaddik, leader of the generation? What's holding us back from real, actual greatness? David Melech did it, Moshe Rabbeinu did it, Avram Yitzchak and Yaakov did it, Rachel, Leah, Rivka, Sarah did it. So what's my problem? God doesn't want me to have a relationship with him like that? Come on. I also have a neshama. I'm also one of his kids. The 4th question.
Has prophecy anymore these days?
So prophecy, maybe not. First of all, you can't have prophecy bisman hazeh. You can't have national prophecy. Even prophecy.
Even Ruach HaKodesh, though, most people don't.
The Ramchal, in a different essay, gives you a whole technique of how to get to Ruach HaKodesh and then even to Nevuah.
Have you gotten prophecy before?
I can't say. No, I have. In the end of Path of the Just, he says, once you reach this level, the next step is Ruach HaKodesh. And you'll get there. You can get there. He talks about conversations he had with the angels. Okay, anyway, you guys are wasting time. You got 4 minutes left. Go do it.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.